Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Become the Strongest Being in Multiverse Season 2 Part 2. Before we start, please go support John 354 for writing that awesome fanfic. Now let's begin. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. Chap. 16. They had passed 3 where the girls found out about Issei's trip, and the most surprised were Astrid, Roswis and Brunhild, since they knew about the place. Issei for his part continued with his journey and trained at that time, while he also defeated his enemies. The girls had already woken up and were asking about Issei, but they told them that he was doing something important. They felt sad for a while until they met Sarada, and she told them stories about Issei from when he was in her world. The girls were relieved since they didn't know how to distract them while he came back, and they didn't want to bother him. Issei, after a non-stop trip, arrived at his destination where he was surprised by the sight. Mimir. What are you doing in this place? Issei. The truth is I need help to protect my family. Mimir. Perhaps you want to drink that water. Issei. If it's no use lying, well, you'll give it to me. Mimir. You are very rude, brat, especially if you want something. Issei. That's how I am, there are things that don't change. Mimir. The only one who came was the god Odin and then no one else. Issei. I asked him to tell me where I could find you. Mimir. You are willing to give something in exchange for knowledge. Issei. For my family I would give anything. He meant it seriously since he was not lying, and Mimir could tell that he was speaking seriously and formed a small smile. Mimir. You can take it. At that point a horn appeared at the top of the well's water. Issei. And what will I give? Mimir. Nothing. Issei upon hearing that widened his eyes. Mimir. But on one condition. Issei. Of course, whatever you want. Mimir. When you are going to die, shed a tear on this horn and send someone here and everything returns to its place. Issei. If that's what you want, that's how it will be. Mimir. I can tell that you are telling the truth. I can also notice that you are an immortal being, but I notice in your eyes that that will happen. Issei. Everything has a beginning and an end, and mine will come in his time, but not today or tomorrow. First I have to leave some peace since there will always be wars. My mission is to stop it for a while. Mimir. I understand. At that Issei took the horn, and when just a drop fell into his mouth he felt a change, and when he drank it completely many things came to his head, and he felt that his eyes were better than before, just like his other senses. Now everything was different for him. After that I keep the horn in his bracelet. Issei. Thank you for everything. Bowing. Mimir for his part he only half nodded and closed his eyes to rest. Issei for his part had already completed his mission, so he teleported to his house, appearing in his living room. Where the girls, upon seeing him, without wasting any time, threw themselves on him. Everyone falling to the ground as they took him by surprise. Eri. 2chan, I missed you, I was afraid before. Crying like the other two. Seeing them like this, Issei also shed a few tears since everything from that day came to mind. Issei. Forgive me for not being on time that day. Yui. But you finally arrived. Liza. It won't happen again, right? Issei. It won't happen anymore, I promise. He stood up from the ground next to the girls, and he separated them and extended his hand with his thumb raised. The girls did that too and took Issei's. Issei. I promise it will never happen again, and this time I will keep it. The girls just gave her a smile, and Eri wiped away Issei's tears. Seconds later the girls arrived and also hugged Issei since they missed him. Astrid. Issei, what did you say since I look good to you? Issei. Nothing, the truth is he was a great person. Roswis. You are very lucky indeed. Alicia. We talked about Issei, he is always lucky. Issei. Mocha. Misako, how are you? Mocha. I'm fine now, don't worry. Misako. Like never before. Gabriel. If you're tired, you can go to your room, yes. Issei. I'm fine, don't worry, I have a lot to do. Lucina. Issei, please don't pressure yourself. Issei. How cute, I like that you act like that. Laughing a little like others since he had changed. Office. I can go so you can rest. Issei. You better not since I have a feeling you're just going to hit them. Office just looked away from her, and Issei only broke out in a drop of sweat seeing her like that. Minutes passed and Issei spent most of his time with the 4 girls. At night they went to sleep a little tired since they wanted to be with Issei. Rafia. Issei, it's time for you to tell us how you have the true longiness. Issei. I knew this day would come, and the truth is I don't know very well, it was years before she met Siko. One day I woke up and when I got up I already had it in my hand. When I saw it, I was shocked. Irina. Just like that. Issei. Yes. Honestly, I didn't use it much. Athena. When you say that it only means that you caused a disaster. Issei looked around and the girls knew that. Mikishin pulled out his scepter and caught Issei. Margarita. You tried to escape, didn't you? Issei. This. Najir. You only confirm our words, Issei. He just let out a sigh and lowered his head. The girls smiled when they saw that, but when Issei looked up with a smile they didn't like it since at that moment Issei teleported. Betos. We'll go get him. Isaka. It's okay and he didn't do anything wrong, maybe he just saved a lot of people with that spear. Ganrenksu. He doesn't want to talk about his battles. At that point the girls separated, some went to rest and others stayed in the living room. The next day the whole family was having breakfast. Serafal. Issei, the others want to talk to you. Issei. I see at the end we're leaving. Minutes later he was about to leave, but he noticed how the girls were a little sad, so he created a clone of their rings and left them with them. The girls, seeing the clone, were happy and took the clone to play, and then Issei left. Upon arriving at the meeting room, he greeted all the leaders and took his seat. Surzich. Issei, sorry for going to help your daughters. Issei. It's okay and they came out of nowhere, you are not to blame for what that old man does. Auden. It went well for you as I see. Issei. Everything went well and thank you again. Auden. Anytime. Issei. Well that happens. Izanagi. We want to make an alliance with the Egyptian faction and we want you and Adendono to go. Issei. You're sure you already know what I am? Azazel. Nothing will happen, I think. Issei. You think so? But it's okay, I'll go. I'm curious to know what they are like. He said it with a smile that Issei's girls like to see. Azazel. Hey, stop bragging. Issei. What a thing. Serafal. Don't pay attention to him Issei. Surzich. Leaving that aside, let's continue with the topic. They will have to leave tomorrow, the situation is very bad. Issei. Well the faster the better since I have to do other things. At that point the meeting continued for a bit and at the end Issei returned to his house. Chap. 17. It was a little late and the girls were already asleep and Issei told them all about his trip. Siko. Come back quickly and don't cause problems, although that will happen. Issei. Come on, it's not my fault. Griselda. Then go rest tomorrow, you'll leave early. Issei. I'm not tired, plus I haven't been with my family in a while, tell me, do you want to watch a movie? Mocha. Yes it will be great. Lefei. But don't let them be scary, okay. Issei. Okay then let's go to the living room. Entering the house since they were in the living room. The next day Issei left early without saying anything to the girls since he didn't want to see them sad and that's why he left a clone to spend with them all day since they won't be going to school for a while. Issei. Are you ready old man? Auden. Let's go then. They both started walking until they reached a carriage and headed off. Issei. Hey, what are they like? Auden. I didn't get involved much in the past with other factions, I only got along with Zeus. Issei. I understand, it will be great to see them. Auden. How was your trip? Issei. During my journey I took the opportunity to train a little, it was interesting. Auden. What did you give him to have that? Issei. He didn't ask me for anything, it's a surprise, no. Auden. As you say, nothing is free in this life, but if you don't want to tell me, that's fine. Hearing that, Issei laughed a little and decided to tell her. At that point he took out the horn that surprised Auden. Issei. What I have to do is give is something very easy, and that is to give back what he gave me. Auden. How will you do that? Issei. The day I'm about to die I have to let a tear fall into this horn and then tell someone to return it to the lake. Auden. I understand but being you that day will never come. Issei. Nobody knows that old man. At that point they changed the subject to change the atmosphere. A few hours passed and they arrived in Egypt. Seeing the landscape, Issei was surprised by how great it was. At that point he saw a large castle that surprised him, as well as seeing a lot of gold. The carriage stopped and some soldiers were waiting for them and guided them to the throne. When Issei arrived he was still surprised because there were many luxuries. When he changed his view he saw a man sitting on a throne while other people had fans giving him a little wind and next to him was a beautiful woman. Auden. Nice to meet you Ra-sama. Making a slight bow. Issei for his part only waved. Issei. Hello, I'm Igarashi Issei and let me tell you, that place is great. Ra at that moment got up from her throne and went down the stairs and stood face to face with a serious face, but in just a few moments he changed it to a big smile and hugged Issei, leaving both of them in shock. Issei looked around and noticed how some of them had a smile. At that Ra separated from Issei. Ra. It's a pleasure to meet you Igarashi-san, and I've heard a lot about you, and I'm glad to be able to see you in person. Issei. And I don't remember doing anything to make him treat me like that. Ra. You killed one of my enemies. Issei. Oh yes. Turning his head to the side since he has killed so many enemies that he doesn't even remember them since he doesn't even care. Ra. His name is Apophis, he is a big snake. Issei placed one of his fingers on his chin and closed his eyes to remember. Until after a few minutes he managed to remember it. Issei. Now I remember I was with a three-headed dragon, they hurt people important to me, so I had no choice but to kill them. He said it without importance. Brah. Even so, I thank you, now I can rest easy. Issei. And that. My husband took care of him every night so that he didn't notice anything. Brah. Igarashi-san, meet my wife, Isis. Isis, nice to meet you ma'am. Isis. The pleasure is mine. Brah. Let's go to the dining room, prepare a feast for this day. Since the truth is I asked you to come. Issei. I see, then come on, the truth is I'm a little hungry. Both gods only laughed a little at his attitude and the four headed off, but Auden was surprised by everything that had happened. Auden thoughts. How do you manage to get along with the gods so easily? Forming a small smile on his face and watching as both men laughed. They walked a little until they reached their destination. Issei, for one, was surprised by so much food. At that he saw Ra, and he just nodded and Issei quickly went to eat. Ra. I am in favor of joining your alliance. Auden. I'm glad to hear that. Ra. Well thanks to Igarashi-sen I know I can trust you. Issei. I always help my friends and I like you. Also call me Issei. Ra. That's how it will be. They can stay for a few days and look at the places. Issei. I can take a bath in that big river, it looks very cool. Isis. Talk about the Nile, of course you can do it. Issei. Great. I've heard a little about its history in the past and it's really interesting. Isis. I'm glad to know that. Ra. That makes things easier. Getting up from his seat. Ra. Issei I want you to marry someone from my family. Upon hearing that, he dropped the fork that he had in his hand and was surprised. Auden for his part spat out the wine he was drinking and was shocked. Issei. I think I misheard what he said. Ra. What I said, I want you to marry someone from my family, I know that they will get along well and as you said, you know something about us. Isis. A strong person like you must have someone strong by his side. Issei. I'll be honest, I already have partners. Ra. We know it and it was obvious that someone like you must have a good lineage. Perhaps one of your sons will rule all of Egypt. Issei. I think you rush things a lot more honestly. You have to take it calmly, plus she knows it and she is in favor of it. Ra. She doesn't know about that, but she is someone with a good heart and she will get along with you. Issei. Do me a favor for now, I'll say yes, but if she doesn't want to, you're not going to force her, that's fine. Ra. She sounds good to me then it's a deal. Raising her glass, Issei, seeing that, got up from his seat and took her glass, and they both clinked it. Auden was still shocked when he saw that since he couldn't believe that Issei was engaged. After eating, the four of them left the room and Ra himself guided them throughout the castle. During his journey Issei told a little about his adventures that left both gods shocked. Auden told them about how he helped them with the giants, even leaving Ra and Isis even more surprised since Issei fought alone against an exercise. After a long day they were guided to their rooms to rest. Issei. It's a great place and this day was great, leaving the commitment aside. I hope I come out of this well in the end I didn't go to the Nile. Well I'll go tomorrow. Closing his eyes to rest since he had time without doing it right. Chap. 18. It was a new day and Issei had already had breakfast and decided to go take a bath while Auden and Ra signed the treaty. When Issei arrived, he was surprised by how great the river looked. Without wasting time, he took off his clothes and entered the water. Issei. Great, it's very fresh. While she floated down the river without taking anything of importance around her. Minutes later someone else entered the lake, but Issei was lost in thought until he bumped into someone. Issei. Sorry. Turning around and being shocked when he saw a woman there he quickly turned around again since he didn't have anything on. Issei. It was accidentally, I hope you'll excuse me. Okay, it's not your fault, I didn't know someone else would be here at this time. Issei. I want to take a bath and what better than outdoors. I understand how about we go out and that way we can talk more calmly. Issei. Okay. They both went their separate ways until they reached where they left their things and after a few minutes they were both reunited. Issei. Sorry again. You don't have to do it, it's already a given, my name is Bastard. Issei. My name is Igarashi Issei. You usually use a lot of gold, don't you? Bastard. It's customary, but I only use it to go out and at home I dress normally since walking so many things is very bothersome. Issei. I see. Bastard. Where are you from since you are obviously not Egyptian? Issei. I am Japanese and I came with Auden to sign an alliance. Bastard. I was informed of this, but I didn't know when it would be. And tell me what you think here. Issei. It's nice and quiet since there isn't much noise. Bastard. I'm glad to hear that and tell me do you want me to show you the town? Issei. Seriously, thank you very much. He said it with a big smile. Bastard just smiled a little when she saw his enthusiasm. Then they both started walking around. Later they both returned to the temple where the guards bowed to both of them out of respect. On the way they crossed paths with both gods. Brah. I see you're having a good time, that makes you happy. Issei. We went to many places, it's great here. Brah. I'm glad to hear that. I also see that they were able to meet each other during this time. Issei. She's fun. Brah. Seriously, and tell me your bastard. Bastard. He is kind and very energetic and very funny. Brah. Sounds good, since you get along well. It's better that you know, since you guys are engaged. Issei, upon hearing that, widened her eyes since she had forgotten that. Bastard didn't know what to say since she didn't expect such a thing. Issei. Honestly, I had already forgotten that. Bastard. You knew it. Issei. He informed me yesterday, but I didn't know it was you. But don't worry, no one can force you to do something you don't want. Talk to them about it. Bastard. I see this, it caught me off guard. Father, why don't you inform me? Brah. I wanted it to be a surprise, plus you didn't want to marry anyone, you already rejected many, and the truth is I was hoping that you would accept young Issei. Bastard. Because you thought that. Brah. Since it is the one I told you about who defeated Apophis. Bastard was surprised when she heard that, and then she remembered what his name was, Issei, since he had forgotten it because of what he had forgotten. Bastard. So it's you, thank you very much for that, since I always went with my father to help him stop him. Issei. I don't deserve recognition from him since I accidentally killed him since I hurt my family. Bastard, you can refuse and you don't know anything about me. Bastard. I can think about it. Brah. There's nothing to think about now that you know who your promise is, you should be happy, no. Auden. What do you mean? Brah. The V. He didn't finish as Bastard covered his mouth so he wouldn't continue talking and took him away from the place, leaving only Auden and Issei with no idea what happened. At that, both of them went somewhere else since they were left alone. Later, Ra returned with both of them. Brah. Well, in the end she agreed that there will be a party tonight to celebrate their engagement. Issei. I can talk to her first. Ra nodded and called for a guard to take him to where she was. When she arrived at her destination, she was seeing the view. Issei. Hello. She turned around and got a little nervous to see him. Issei. Tell me what Ra says is true. Bastard. Of commitment. If it's true, I'm in favor. Issei. You're not being forced, right? Bastard. No one forced me. The truth is, when I heard about you I was surprised and I wanted to know more about you and listen to your stories. I wanted to have a photo of you, but I couldn't get it because they would think I would be a spy. Issei. Don't believe everything you say. Plus I thought you were going to refuse since, well, as you know, I'm human. Bastard. That doesn't matter, I hope we get along well. Issei. You should know that I have a partner, no. Bastard. I know, and if they are with you it is because they think the same as me. Plus I also know that you have daughters. Hearing that, Issei smiled and took a photo of the three girls. Issei. Their names are Eri, Yui, and this is my little sister Liza. They are the cutest girls there are. Bastard. They are very pretty, I hope to meet them one day. Issei. Sure. Bastard, I hope we get along well from now on, although we barely know each other, I will always keep you in mind now that you are part of my family. Hearing that, Bastard hugged Issei. Bastard. I'm happy to hear that, I promise to make you happy and I will fight to win the girls' sympathy. Issei. Don't worry about that, they will happily accept you. Plus they will be happy to know that they have someone else. Bastard just smiled when she heard that. Minutes passed and they both talked about many things and it became late where they both went to their rooms. When Issei arrived at hers, there were 3 servants where she began to dress him. Issei at first refused, but after insisting so much she let herself since she did not know how to wear that type of clothing. At the end, Issei arrived at the room where there were many people and several were surprised when they saw Issei. Since Issei had a lot of jewelry and gold too. Brah. Dressed like this you look like a pharaoh. Issei. I'm not used to dressing like that, it's a lot of luxury, I like something simpler. Isis. It will only be a while. Issei just let out a sigh and started walking around greeting some people, and later Bastard arrived with a dress attracting a lot of attention. Seeing Issei, she went to him. Issei. You look very pretty. Bastard. Those clothes look good on you too. Issei just smiled at her and then they both started walking around the room. Later Ra called them to come forward. Brah. This day is very special since one of my daughters and right hand is going to marry the young man here, Igarashi Issei. Several people were surprised when they heard that because they knew that she had no intention of doing it. Brah. I give my blessing for you to be together and happy. From now on Igarashi Issei is considered a new god in this faction, him being the god of war and destruction. Hearing that, Issei was surprised. Issei. You don't think you're exaggerating with that? Brah. Maybe I shouldn't have put more titles at all. Issei. Better leave it like that. Ra upon hearing that just laughed and after that several people applauded and the party continued without any problem. Chap. 19. The next day both Auden, Issei and Bastard were in front of Ra and Isis as they were ready to leave. Auden. Thank you very much for these days, we had a great time. Ra. You can come back whenever you want, now you are welcome. Bastard. Thank you very much for everything, mother, father. Isis. When you come back I hope to know that you are ready to have children. Asta just turned red upon hearing that and Issei just laughed a little. Issei. If something happens, call me and I will come and help with whatever I can. Brah. I appreciate it, we will keep it in mind. Please take care of my daughter. Issei. That's it, don't worry, I would give my life for her. Brah just nodded and with that the three left the place where they got into the carriage and left the place. Issei. We turned out well, that's great. Asta. Because you say that. Auden. Every time we go somewhere Issei has problems with someone but this time she was well received. Asta. It's because he defeated a great enemy so he's afraid of my father's beast for trying to hurt someone close to him. Issei. They were great days but it's time to get back into action again. Asta. What will you do? Issei. I have to talk to Tannen, a former Dragon King, and stop other people. There is a lot to do. Asta. I'll help you. Issei. Thank you. The three talked about many things and hours later they arrived at their destination. Issei, for his part, took Basta to his new house. When the clone entered he dissipated and many memories came to him of happy moments with his daughters. When they saw it, they were happy. Iri. 2chan, you disappeared a while ago. Issei. Great, no. Iri. Yep. Just then they entered and everyone was in the room since they had been informed that she was returning today. When they saw him, they were happy and went to welcome him when they finally saw Bastard. Issei. This is Bastard, my fiancé. The girls upon hearing that were surprised by such news. Siko. You're not wasting your time, honey. When Issei saw her, he noticed a smile. Without wasting any time he began to explain the situation and they understood quickly. After the explanation, the girls took Bastard to the garden to chat privately. Yui. What are they going to do? Issei. I don't know and tell me you want to play. Liza. Yes but we also want to train. Sarada. You can teach us something. Issei. Sure then let's go. The four of them nodded and went to the training room. Issei. Well tell me Iri how you are doing with your gift. Iri. Najir Kachan taught me and now I can but only with small animals. Issei. That's fine and you Liza. Liza. It's hard for me to control my strength a bit since I was in a capsule for a long time. Issei. I know, don't try hard, it's because of your blood that you have from those savage, but I will help you with that. And tell me Yui. Yui. I can make a small spear of light but it doesn't last long, I still have a long way to go. Issei. Well, nothing is easy daughter, everything costs you, try to keep it longer and that way it will last longer. Yui. Thank you dad. Issei. No problem, daughter, and tell me, Sarada, it wasn't difficult for you to adapt. Sarada. They are all very kind and now I have sisters, which makes me very happy. And well now I have 2 volumes in my Sharingan and it's all thanks to Kagaya since she helped me train. And my aunt Naruko has helped me with Taijutsu. Issei. I understand, well it's time to train and I already have some ideas on how to help her. The girls happily accepted. At that Issei asked them to go around the room so they could exercise. After going around several times they started with the basic exercises. The 4 of them found it difficult since they were not so used to it. Issei realized this, but he still continued since if they wanted to be strong, they had to go through many things. At the end she gave a scroll to Sarada and she went to train separately. Then she asked Yui to take out her wings and stay in the air as much as she could. He gave Iri some ants for her to practice on. Liza being the last, he himself would train her. Issei. Well, I want you to try to hit me as hard as you can, okay? Liza. And if it hurts. Issei. Don't worry. I want to know how strong you are now. Liza nodded and went to Issei, punching him in the stomach. For her part, Issei didn't feel anything after that blow. Issei. I see nothing wrong, you can't completely control your body if you fight like this, your body won't be able to handle so much and you'll end up hurting yourself like a friend I had. Liza. And what do I have to do? Issei. It's very easy. She took out a pen and paper from her bracelet and created some gravity seals and at the end she put them on her hands and legs. Issei. At first it will put you to bed, but only then will your body improve faster and when you achieve this you can come with me to increase the gravity. Liza. I will do my best on Ichan. Issei. I'm glad to hear that, now go run a little to see how long you can last. Liza nodded and left the place. Issei went to see how everyone was doing and give advice to help them. After several hours it was late and the girls were tired and lying on the floor. I think 3 clones who took each girl made their way to her room. When they went up the stairs they met some girls and Issei explained to them what happened. Later he joined the girls and they talked for a while. Issei. Well I'll go see Tannen now that I have time. Serafal. You want me to come with you? Issei. It's not good, I'll be back soon. The girls didn't think anything of it. Issei stood up and teleported to the underworld. Afterwards he went to Surzich to ask for Tannen's whereabouts. Knowing where to go, he took out his wings and left the place, and minutes later he arrived at his destination. Issei. Hello Tannen, how are you doing? Tannen. Well, if you come here it's for a reason, isn't it? Issei. Something like that, I need your help to talk to the other dragons to help us in this war in the future. Tannen. I understand and I will talk to them. Issei. Seriously, that easy, there won't be a fight like you Lung. Tannen. Hahaha, I'm not stupid enough to fight with you, I know about your achievements, and it's impressive. I'll help you with whatever I can. You know if you defeat all the dragon kings you will have the title of one. And if you defeat the celestial dragons, or rather their wielders, you will have their titles, although I think you already have them since you killed the former drag wielder and defeated the one from Albion. And well, if you defeat Office-sama and Great Red, they will have the title of a dragon god. Issei. Thanks for the help, but you know the titles never mattered to me. Well now that everything has turned out I have to go, I have things to do. Tannen nodded and with that Issei went to his house. Issei noticed the girl's surprise as he carried it. Issei. What's wrong? Margarita. Not even an hour has passed since you left, tell me what happened. Issei. He agreed to help and will tell the others to see what you say. But leaving that aside. Pulling a list out of his pocket. Enemu? What is that? Issei. They are places where I have to go. After asking for Tannen's whereabouts I ask Surzich. I will leave today. Misako, Belfast and Kuroka come with me. Kuroka was happy when she heard that and gave Issei a hug. Misako. It's time for revenge. Issei. Something like that. When I return, others will go with me, that's fine. They all nodded and were happy since they had not fought with him for a while. At that moment Issei created a clone so that the girls would not know of his departure and Kuroka teleported them to her destination since she knew where to go. Days later, Issei along with several of the girls had destroyed several places in Rizavum, causing him to become furious. But he controlled himself since he had a plan against Issei, so he left it for later. At the end of his last mission on his list he returned to his house and it was night. Issei. Now there will be a little peace. Mikishin. It was a short but fun trip. Issei. I have to continue with my training, that's why I did all this mission stuff so that you guys are safe. Irina. What will you do? Issei. Chichigami will send me somewhere else to train for a while. But don't worry, I'll leave something behind. Going to her room like all the girls. When his destination arrived he created a clone. Issei. This clone will think that he is the original and his only mission will be to protect my family. He will not take missions since he will train the girls and some of you, if you wish, I will give him 80% of my skills, so there will be no problem. Gabriel. It's a lot and how do you survive? Issei. I'll be fine, don't worry. At that he left the room heading to the garden again. Issei. Take care of yourselves and please protect the girls and yourselves too. Laviana. That's how it will be Issei, don't worry. Bastet. When you come back we will have a party, yes. Issei just nodded and said goodbye to each one and then called Chichigami. When he was in front of her he gave her a hug and also said goodbye to her and entered the portal. When he opened his eyes he saw 5 people and one of them was looking at him very seriously. Issei. This is where I am. In my castle. Besides, he's a human, he's of no use to me, I don't feel a drop of magic in him. It's a waste. Issei. I can go then. No, also, how is this possible, how come we invoke someone so weak? I don't know, it's part of destiny. Issei better not say anything and just listen to what was happening. Issei thoughts. Where did you send me, Chichigami? I feel like it will be bad for me if I stay here. Chap. 20. Issei, noticing how they were talking, took a few steps back to leave, but someone grabbed his shoulder. Issei. I can leave like she said, it won't be any use. You are the one who will save the demon tribe from extinction. Issei. I think I'm wrong, ma'am. Listen human garbage, I am the 7th descendant of the demon tribe Isabella Osa. Issei. I see, my name is Igarashi Issei, a pleasure. She was about to say something, but she felt her aura disappear and then she began to scream in pain until seconds later everyone was shocked as she turned into a human. Issei. That had to happen. Of course this is not bad. Isabella. How will I now protect my tribe with this appearance and how weak I am? It is because of that human that it will be better to kill him. Issei. Wait, what do I have to do with this? Isabella was about to say something, but then 2 guards arrived giving the report that the human tribe were arriving. The high priestess created a teleportation spell for all of them to leave there. Seeing that, Isabella shed some tears since she did not want to leave her aside. Her guard stopped her from doing anything. Issei was going to do something, but he noticed how the lady just nodded at him and he understood. At that the circle shone brighter until everyone was teleported out of the castle. At that point they used to walk since there was no time for mourning, but a group of humans attacked them, one of them shot an arrow, but Issei stopped it with his hand and returned it to its owner, hitting him in the face, killing him instantly. You guys leave and your human please protect my queen. Issei. I can stop you and then you can go. We are her guardians and it is our duty, she remains in your hands. Issei better not say anything else since he saw them convinced and ready to die. At that he took Isabella's hand and led her away. She refused to leave her companions, but she couldn't do anything. Issei only heard her last screams but didn't look back. But then 3 guards surrounded them. Issei. Phew, we finally met more humans, you know, we were there for a long time. I have heard that they are brainwashed to attack us. It is better to kill them and thus prevent a misfortune. Issei. Nothing like that happened to us, not long ago they caught us and well they just kept us locked up. I don't care, it would be better to kill him. He raised his sword in the air and was about to kill them, but a man arrived on his horse and stopped them. Issei just let out a sigh as he didn't want to fight and he just watched as the guards left scared of being scolded. I am Shopias, the head of the White Dragon Knights. How long have they been kings of the demons? Issei. It wasn't long ago, I was just a child when that happened, I was just a kitchen helper, I never left the castle until now. And this is Isabella, she is my wife, I have known her for a long time. Shopias. I see what a bad time you've had, now everything is fine, come with me. Isabella. I go with the humans too. Issei. Thank you. At that point he approached Isabella. Issei. Look, woman, you better behave if you continue with that attitude, things could go wrong for us, well, more for you than for me. I will help you only because I promised because if it weren't for that I would have already left you here. Having a serious face Isabella was a little surprised by that attitude and she better not say anything. At that Issei got up from the ground just like Isabella and they headed down the road. After a few days of travel they arrived at their destination. Issei was surprised to see everything around her since he was local. Issei. This place is great, don't you believe it? Isabella. No. Issei. You are very boring. She didn't say anything and continued with her thing. Shopias. Issei, ye bay and tell me what you think of the place. Issei. It seems calm and thank you again for bringing us. Shopias. No problem but your wife doesn't talk much. Issei. She has always been like this, but over time you will see that she will change. Shopias was going to say something, but in front of them was a red-haired boy with a big smile. Issei. Because that boy looks so happy. Speak more quietly, he is the son of a regent of a very powerful person here. Issei. I see. While Shopias was talking to the boy, Issei was still lost in his thoughts. Issei thoughts. I haven't even been here 24 hours and I'm already in a lot of trouble. The girls are right, the problems follow me. Later the doors opened and someone came in, but Isabella, seeing one of her companions, only her head became angry and she was about to attack. Issei. You better calm down or things will go badly for you. Isabella. Since you want me to calm down, they are displaying her as a trophy. Issei. That's how wars are and as queen you should know how they end. She just clenched her fists because of how upset she was seeing all that. After a few minutes both were taken to a mansion where they were treated well, but Isabella was always attentive since it was rare for slaves to be treated like that. For her part, Issei didn't take it seriously and went to him a little. Later Issei was taking a bath. Issei. This is relaxing. When I get home I'll tell the girls to make a room like this. Letting out a sigh. That's when Shopias arrived and they talked for a while and Issei asked some questions about the place since he wanted to know more about the place where he was. At the end she went to her room since it had been a long day. When she opened the door she was surprised to see Isabella changing out of it and she quickly closed it. But she opened it and put Issei into her room. Issei. It was unintentional since they told me it was my room, I didn't think you would be here too. Isabella. Are you stupid or you yourself said that we are husband and wife? Issei. It's true, she had forgotten. Well, it's late, we have to rest. Isabella. I will sleep in the bed and you on the floor and if you dare to do something you will know the consequences. Issei. Whatever you say. Without taking it into account and going to bed and lying on it. Isabella. Did you not hear what I said, you dare disobey your queen. Issei. You are not my queen and I don't want to sleep there, if you want, do it yourself, but your back will hurt. Isabella approached the bed upset and took off Issei's sheets and tried to throw him off the bed, but he didn't move from her position. Issei put the covers back on. Issei. Rest well if you can. Turning over to sleep. Isabella. I'll kill you if you do anything. Lying in bed too. Issei. I don't care what you say. Isabella. Aren't you afraid? I'm a Riemann queen, everyone runs when they hear my name. Issei. I've seen things that no one should see in their life and I also know more demons than you. You better rest tomorrow we have a long day. Isabella asked something else, but Issei didn't answer her, so she decided to sleep too. Chap. 21. It was a new day and Issei was still in bed and that was because Isabella was in his arm and was asleep. Issei thoughts. If I wake her up I have the feeling that she is going to hit me, I am going to wait for her to do it and I will pretend to sleep. I'm a genius, ha 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 ha. Forming a smile on her face. Minutes passed and Isabella began to move and Issei closed his eyes to pretend to be asleep. Seeing Issei so closely, Isabella opened her eyes even more and without wasting time gave him a big slap. Issei opened his eyes when he felt that and sat on the bed. Issei. Hey, what's wrong? I haven't done anything to make you hit so early. Isabella. It's your fault for being so close and it's my bed. Issei. Maybe you're crazy, I didn't even move from my side, you were the one who was close to me. Isabella. And how do you know that? Issei looked around and got out of bed and walked over to the window and opened it. Issei. Wow, it's a beautiful view, don't you believe it? Isabella. Don't change the subject, idiot. Issei. I'm hungry, how about we go have breakfast? Walking to the door. Isabella. Don't ignore me, idiot. Issei didn't even pay attention since he had already left. Minutes later Isabella joined the table. Shopias. And how about the past they have adapted? Issei. The truth is I adapt easily to things, I slept very well. Isabella just glared at him, but he just smiled at her. Isabella. Nothing matters, I want to be a student at the honor school, I want to be strong. Shopias. Are you sure of that? Isabella. Of course I am. Shopias. And what do you say, Issei? Issei. Honestly, I don't care if I go or not, but I don't have a choice since I can't leave this fool alone. Isabella. What did you call me? Taking Issei by the neck. Issei. Very easy, dear wife, to call you stupid. You understood. Isabella only became more upset upon hearing that and Shopias only laughed upon seeing her interaction. Shopias. I'm going to enroll them. I can see potential in you, Yi-Bei, but your Issei is too far away to be strong. Issei. You calm and I nervous, ha 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 ha. He didn't say anything else and he left the place to start the procedures. Isabella. How can you talk to me like that, I'm a queen. Issei. I don't care if you are a queen or a goddess, I will treat you the same. Titles are just titles. Isabella. I'm not as weak as you think for you to act this arrogant. Issei. I've always acted like this. Isabella. I propose something humane. If you beat me in a sword battle, I will listen to what you say, but if I win, you will stay away from me forever so I can fulfill my revenge. Issei. Whatever you want, the truth is I don't care. At that point they both walked a little since they were having breakfast in the garden and each took a sword. Isabella noticed that Issei took the sword without understanding and formed a smile since she already had everything won. At that she was the first to go on the attack and Issei on her part just waited for the blow. When she was about to hit him with her sword Issei stopped her blow. Isabella was a little surprised since she was using some of her remaining strength and for her that was a lot since she was fighting with a human. Issei took her sword away from Isabella and went to attack her. Isabella, for her part, could only defend herself since Issei did not give her time to attack. Issei used some force on some of her attacks and Isabella had no choice but to let go of her sword. At that she tripped on a rock and fell to the ground and Issei pointed his sword at her. Issei. End of the game, I win. Throwing his sword back, it fell into the basket where the others were. And then she started walking to the table again. Isabella just looked down and clenched her fists as she was easily defeated. Issei. Isabella, if you continue with that attitude, you won't get very far since you will quickly reveal your identity. Isabella. Who you really are. Issei. From the beginning we met you called him a weak human. Better come eat, the food is going to get cold. She got up and went to the table but only passed by it since she was going to her room. Issei. It's an order, Isabella, or maybe you don't comply with your own rules. Upon hearing what Issei said, she just gritted her teeth and went to take a seat again at the table. Issei. If you see me with that face, my hunger will go away. Isabella. This won't stay like this. Issei. You know I don't have to help you with your plan, but if she leaves you alone, you will only cause disasters in your path with that attitude and you will die quickly. Isabella. Do you care what happened to me? Issei. Not much, but you are my servant and my duty is to protect the people around me. Isabella. You are very stupid. You won't be able to do much if you don't have magic. Issei. Seriously then, who beat you recently? She said it mockingly. Isabella just took a piece of bread that was there and threw it at Issei. Issei. Thanks for asking, you for one. Continuing with her breakfast. Later Shopias instructed a hider to guide them to the academy and see what they are both good at. Minutes later they arrived at the academy and saw how a teacher was giving classes on pure strength. How he destroyed a rock with his hands while he had like a chicken in his hands. Issei. Great. Then the three went to where the teacher was and the guard gave the instructions. Mike. So you're here to learn how to fight hand to hand. Releasing a bit of his killer instinct affected everyone except Issei. Isabella. We can go see the magic and fencing masters. Mickey. You're not interested. Isabella. Not just magic and fencing. Mike. And you brat want to try. Issei. Sure, it will be interesting. Mike. Well, get closer to that rock and let's see what you're capable of. Issei just nodded and walked over. At that she extended her fist and was about to hit it, but at the last second she just used her finger. At that she extended her fist and was about to hit it, but at the last second she used only her finger. Leaving everyone present surprised by what happened. Mike. You have talent, boy, you could join this class if you train well. Issei. Thank you but I refuse. Mike. Because. Issei. I already know some things and I really want to learn something new, so see you. Starting to walk to another class. Then the three of them went to fencing and magic classes. After that they both came and asked them for a test. Issei. What is that ball for? It is to know how high your limiting strength is. If you have a lot of limiting strength, you will have a future. Issei. I understand. Issei only watched as Isabella took the sphere where the sphere began to shine very brightly, surprising several people. Then she took the sword since she also wanted to take that exam. The teacher just let out a sigh and nodded where the red-haired boy wanted to fight her. Then they both went to the fight where Isabella was a little upset by the defeat she had against Issei, so she defeated her rival without problems, leaving many surprised. Both teachers were arguing over who would stay with Isabella until the den spoke. Excuse me but someone else is still missing. Oh that's true here. Throwing the sphere at her. Issei took her and nothing happened, someone was about to say something, but in a few seconds she began to shine brighter than Isabella, leaving the teachers surprised. Issei seeing that just returned it. Great, you'll be in my class. Issei. Thank you but I refuse. Everyone upon hearing that was surprised by her response to Isabella. The other teacher laughed and went to Issei and gave him her sword. Let's see what you're capable of boy if you're as good as her. Issei just let out a sigh and waited for his opponent who came out ready to attack. But when he was about to hit Issei, he broke his rival's sword in half at a great speed that no one could see when he moved his hand. Issei. The truth is I'm not interested in fencing, I already know enough. Who trained you in fencing? Or someone trained you in magic? Issei I learned by myself. Well, we have to keep looking for another class. But why don't you join one of these, they are the best there are. Issei. It doesn't matter well see you Issei good luck. Isabella thoughts. What kind of stupid thing do you want to do? At that Issei and the guard continued on their way. We reached the next branch and it is the forge. They both entered the class and saw how they were drawing a sword. Issei noticed how ugly he made it, but he didn't say anything. That's when a teacher arrived. Martin. The form branch is when you can create anything. Issei. Seriously, it sounds interesting. Martin. You don't know what it is. Sir, he was a slave of the demonic tribe and he knows nothing. Martin. I see then come with me. At that, the three walked a little in front and the teacher took out a pen and then he made it bigger and began to draw the sword on the ground and seconds later it came out of the ground. Issei seeing that was surprised. Issei. Master, I can create something too. Martin. Sure. Giving him a piece of paper and a pencil to know how well it was drawn. Issei thought a little about what to do and after thinking about it, he drew the four girls since they were very important to him. He finished very quickly leaving many surprised by his speed and how good he was. Martin. It looks great on you, you passed one of the requirements. Issei. Thank you. Issei thoughts. It's like Genjutsu you have to be precise with what you do. This is going to be great. Martin. You have a future. Issei. Please accept me, I want to learn more about this. Martin. For what reason? Issei. I want to be able to draw something that makes my family very happy. Martin. Are you sure? Sir, he already refused to join the hand-to-hand fighting, magic and fencing class. Everyone was surprised when they heard that. Martin. Because you refused. Issei. I want a class where I can have fun doing what I want, not something boring. Martin. I understand if that is your decision, welcome. Issei just nodded with a smile as he had some ideas of what to do. At that the teacher gave the pen to Issei and he took it and then went home since the next day was his first day of school. Chap. 22. Issei and the guard left the room and got to know a little more about the city and at the end, he gave her a key so she could stay in a room from the school since she had to live there now. Issei happily took her and started walking to her room and after a few minutes he arrived at her destination and opened the door. He wasn't surprised to see Isabella there since she had a feeling that would happen. Issei. It hasn't been a good day. Isabella. Because you refused to enter those classes. Issei. They're boring. Isabella. And how do you plan to serve me if you don't learn something useful? Issei. I'll do whatever I want, plus magic isn't my thing and the basics of fencing are more than enough. Plus I want some fun and I found it at the forge. Isabella. You're stupid for taking that class. Issei. I don't care what you follow, I take this class for one reason and that is for my family. When I see you again I will give you a surprise. Isabella. You will never see them again, you will be here forever. Issei. I can go whenever I want but well it's time to sleep tomorrow will be an interesting day. going to bed and taking off his shoes and lying down. Isabella didn't say anything else since she couldn't even get him out of bed, so she also decided to sleep. Hours passed and it was still night, and Issei woke up because she was curious about how the forge worked, so she got out of bed and left the room. And he walked a little through the hallways, and then he came out into a small forest. Issei. That I can draw must be something cool, but what? Putting one of her fingers on her chin to think. After a few seconds the idea of drawing a car came to him, and he cut some trees with his hand and started doing it. After a few minutes she was done. Issei. Wow, you can draw anything, but I made a mistake out of excitement and forgot to draw part of the car right now, it's just an ornament, it doesn't work for me. Creating a small fireball and burning the car and also creating a barrier so as not to attract attention. Time passed and morning came. Isabella woke up and it seemed to her surprise that Issei was not in bed. Without taking it so seriously, she decided to change and go to her classes too, since she wanted to be strong. Meanwhile Issei had a big smile on her face as she was putting the finishing touches on her invention, and that was a motorcycle. At the end he took it out and inspected it and nodded as everything was done. Issei. It came out the first time, but it was a little late because of so many details. But it was worth it. I had never gotten on a motorcycle. That's when he got in and Issei turned it on. When he heard that sound, he was happy and accelerated, leaving the place at a high speed since he was late for his classes. Meanwhile, his teacher and classmates were waiting for him, but then they heard a noise and saw the place, and were shocked to see Issei in something strange for them. Issei. Sorry for the delay, I lost track of time. Martin. What is that? Issei. It's a great vehicle to transport me. No. Martin. How it works. Issei. It really has a lot of details, and handling it well is somewhat complicated since you must have good balance, and if you accelerate too much you could die. Martin. You created something very dangerous and interesting at the same time. Could you teach me how to handle it? All the students also wanted to learn how to do it. Issei. Sure, but first the basics, and that would be something easier. Give me a few minutes. Walking a little and the others went too since they were curious about it. Issei crouched down near the pavement and began to draw at a high speed, leaving several people surprised by how she did it. Minutes later he had finished and created a bicycle. Issei. This is easier and it's not as dangerous, and whoever will be first. The teacher approached and took a seat, and Issei also helped him in that since it was difficult for him to do so. Seconds later he was already driving alone. Issei. They learn so fast. Later, after so much fun, they went inside the classroom to take the class where the teacher explained the use of the stones and their cost, which was 10 gold coins. Issei. A question. Martin. Yes. Issei. Then it is not necessary to use a pen as an instrument, they also work in other things. Martin. Issei. I see, I understand, and thank you very much. Martin just nodded and continued teaching how he made friends with the dwarves, and so he could continue learning. Martin. There are types of high-ranking magic stones, being the aqua magic stone, the purple one, the red stone. Issei. It's not very common to find that truth. Martin. Of course it's not. As I said before, it is very dangerous to go to that mine and go deeper into it. Also there are stones with infinite power, but you have to pay a cost, and that is your conscience. Issei. I see, nothing is free, everything has a cost. Martin nodded and continued with his class. At the end of the day Issei returned to his room and thought about some ideas. Issei. I have to improve a little if I want to make girls happy with my ideas. But first I have to get one of those infinity stones so I can take it with me when I leave. It will be fun to look for it in that mine, well if I'm lucky to find it. She stared at the view outside and wanted to explore the sky. So she took out her pen and started drawing a pair of wings. At that moment Isabella was entering the room and she saw it strange. Isabella. What are you doing? Issei. I draw a pair of wings. Isabella. Wings for what? Issei. It's not obvious, right? I'll go out for a while, the weather must be very good at this time. That's when she ended up drawing him wings like his spiritual bone, and that's when he put them on and they worked well. She opened the window and flew out. Isabella was surprised that it worked there. After a few minutes she returned to the room. Issei. That was great. Isabella. Maybe you're an idiot, you're exposing yourself by doing all that. Issei. It doesn't matter. Isabella. Because of you we can get into more trouble. Issei. I see. She stretched out her hand since it was late and then she went to bed. Isabella. You don't care at all. Issei. Of course, but they are very safe right now because I left someone taking care of them. So I can have fun and train in the process. If that's all, good night. Isabella didn't know what to say since she wasn't even going to respond. The next morning Issei went to her class and saw her classmates outside the classroom. At that point, a classmate explained to him that the teacher went to the mines because the price of stones had risen. Issei was serious since he always found those types of people. Mode. Issei, what will you do? Issei. I'll go look for the teacher, he's a good person and he doesn't deserve what's happening to him. Mode. But that place is dangerous, plus we are not good in combat. Issei. I'll go alone so see you. Starting to walk to the exit. Upon arrival she saw some dens. Issei. How he got to the mine. You're a snotty idiot because we should tell you. Issei. That's very easy because if they don't tell them they could get very hurt. They just laughed hearing that and one walked over and put his hand on Issei's shoulder. Noticing that, he took the hand and put a little pressure on it, making the den scream in pain. The other two, upon seeing that, drew their swords, but Issei made more force. The other two, upon seeing that, with no other option, went to obey Issei, and when their swords collided with Issei, they fell into pieces. Issei. They will tell me or we continue playing. When they heard that, they got scared and gave instructions to Issei, who had the necessary way, but not before knocking out the three of them. Without wasting time Issei began to run at high speed to reach his destination. It didn't take even 5 minutes when he arrived at the place and saw the teacher at the entrance. Issei. On time. Martin. Issei, how did you get here so quickly? Issei. I exercise and it's good where we're going. Martin. It's dangerous to go in there, you stay here and I'll go. Issei. Don't worry, I'll help. Starting to walk Martin just let out a sigh and also walked past some dens. They walked a little until they came across an earth dragon. Martin was ready to create something, but Issei hit him killing him and moving on. Martin was shocked to see that, but he came out of his astonishment since they had to look for the stones. After a few minutes they had enough and left the cave. They walked a little, but a group of purple dragons surrounded them. Issei. I knew this was going to happen, teacher, he is ready for action. Martin. Don't go too far. Issei. I say the same. The group only went to attack since there were many of them. Issei, for his part, began to run and hit each of them in the stomach, taking all the air out of them and causing them to fall to the ground. Since it was not necessary to go overboard by killing them. After a few minutes everyone was on the ground. Martin. You're good at fighting. You should have joined another class. Issei. I already know enough and as I said, I want to learn something new and this is interesting. I thought Baba's boss was going to fight me, but he gave up very easily. Martin. You scared him so much that he fainted ha 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 ha. At that Issei created a truck where they loaded the stones behind and took the road. When they arrived at the entrance of the city they did not want to let them in, but then Shopias arrived with the other teachers, along with Renz and Isabella. Issei. Long time no see. Shopias. How did you get into trouble? Issei. They started. After an argument, most of them left. And the group that went to the mine went to talk to the king, where Issei was surprised that he was just a child later, with everything arranged Issei returned to his room. Issei. What a long day. Isabella. And you continue with the problems. Issei. Do you care about me? Isabella. Leave the nonsense aside. Issei. Well I heard that you are going to represent the magic class with Renner. Isabella. No, I will represent the fencing class. Issei. I see, then good luck, you won't have it easy. Isabella. I won't lose to anyone. Issei. I'll tell you something about my dear wife and that is that I hate losing, so I fight to get second place. Isabella. Dream that would happen. Issei was only given a smile and after a few minutes he decided to go rest since the next day he had to go to a funeral for Shopia's father. Chap. 23. A few days had passed since everything happened and then the group went to the stadium where there were already 2 people waiting. Mike. Long time no see kid because you didn't take my class. Issei. I know what's necessary, that's the reason. I see. With me you could have learned a lot of magic. Issei. I'll let someone else teach me. Getting a little closer to the teacher. I see. What's wrong with you? Issei. You look a bit like my childhood friend, she also dresses like a witch. I see. She is a magician. Issei. Yes, she is and even if she doesn't believe it, she is very powerful. I see. And where is she because she didn't come to this academy? Issei. She likes to invent new types of magic and right now I don't know where she is. I see. It's a shame. Later, Mike entered the stadium with a jump and then extended his fist, creating like a tornado, destroying the entire stadium. Issei created a barrier so that no one would get hurt. Then Issei made the rubble smaller and smaller until there were no traces of it left. Issei. Great. Issei. I know and then. Issei. I will continue in my class. Martin. Give up, he's my star student ha 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 ha. After that the teachers left and the young people began to make plans for the stadium. 3 other students also arrived to help. Where the teachers instructed the 3 to train their students. Issei. I can do it alone. Martin. I know what you are capable of and that's fine. I wish you luck. Issei just nodded and with that he left the place, leaving his companions. Not before asking where to find materials where they gave him useless wood, Issei being curious, he went to the place where there were many trees. Issei. Wow, this place is so dark. So this is the useless wood. It will be interesting to experiment with this. Creating an axe and ready to count, but at that he broke in half. Issei. Interesting and great, I'll be able to create some interesting things with you. Forming a smile on his face. And approaching the wood and using his own hands to be able to break it into pieces. Days later the stadium was already full as the competition was about to start. Seconds later all the classes came to the front where the forging class Issei was the leader by vote of his classmates. Later they explained the rules and the places they had to go, and then the portal opened where everyone was entering. Issei had to drag one of his companions since he was afraid to go. Issei. It will be fun. Mode. Your sense of fun is very rare. Issei just laughed when he heard that while Isabella just let out a sigh at her attitude. And with that all the students entered the portal. Upon leaving the portal you could see a large lake. Mode. It is the lake of sound. Issei. Great if I left alone, but I have you guys, so you're ready. Mode. Ready for you. Issei just smiled when he heard that and her classmates were scared. Friends? Yibei, you want us to cross the lake together? Isabella. I won't think of any ideas with my husband. Issei. Wait, what? I already have a plan, but one more won't get in the way. Taking a scroll out of her backpack and drawing a small boat for her companions and a rope. At that she took the boat in her hands and put it in the water. Issei. Well, you go up and I'll do the rest. Nobody said anything and got on the boat. At that Issei tied the rope to the ship and also to his waist. And then he walked in the water, leaving several people surprised by what he did. Issei. See you at the finish line. Starting to run at great speed, leaving some wet from the momentum. Her companions held on wherever they could since she was going very fast. Issei. It's not cool. Isabella. Slow down, stupid. Issei. No, ha 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 ha. Continuing on his way, leaving several people surprised by how he left. Renz for his part was upset at being rejected again by Isabella. On their way Issei stopped. Mode. What's up? Issei. You'll see. Removing the rope from his waist. Seconds later a creature came out of the water leaving several in shock. Issei. Who's hungry? Stop joking, that thing is dangerous, how are we going to get out of here? Issei. I could kill her, but that would leave the way clear for the others, so I'm just going to scare her. At that Issei began to walk and was facing the creature. He was about to attack Issei, but he just looked up and let out a bit of murderous intent, scaring the creature away from the place quickly. His companions were surprised by what he did since he didn't even move from the spot. The spectators did not know what to say about what had just happened. Issei returned to the boat and took the rope and continued on his way. Isabella. What did you do? Issei did not respond and continued on his way. Isabella was upset when she heard no response, but she put it aside for now. When Issei arrived, he took both coins and continued on his way with the group, where they entered a burning forest. Issei. This is great, let's continue. Isabella. Don't be reckless, you don't know what dangers there are. Issei. I'll be fine, this is nothing. Starting to walk where his companions only let out a sigh and continued. They walked for a while when purple lightning struck near them and they went to see the place and noticed how one of the twins was trapped while the other went to the rescue. Issei came out of the bushes and went to help. One of the trees was about to attack him, but when he was about to get there he stopped. Because I can't move. Issei. Easy friend, nature is my element. At that he made seals with his hands, while others did not understand that he was doing so. When Issei finished he summoned a wooden dragon that went on the attack, defeating the trees in an instant. Issei. How is your sister? Good and thank you very much for the help. Issei. No problem. All the spectators were more surprised to see that plus the magic teacher since she had never seen that. While Issei continued on his way since he wanted to finish everything, but on his way he met more people who accompanied them. At that Issei stopped his step and someone was about to ask, but they saw how some roots were going towards them, but Issei took Isabella's sword with great speed and destroyed everything. How dare you dirty my lands, I'm going to kill you. Issei. I think you had the wrong people, we just arrived. Don't lie, you ruin everything. At that point several went to attack the Queen of Thorns. While Issei just sat on the ground. Mode. You will do nothing. Issei. They launched the attack without thinking about anything, and they are not my group because I would have to help. Mode. They are students. Issei. There are people who don't understand and go on the attack without thinking, and when they are injured something occurs to them, but it is too late. Mode. Because you act so calm despite the situation we are in. Issei. It's best if I get upset, I'd only be like them. But hey, we have to continue on the path. Heading up and continuing on their way, his companions looked at each other and nodded. Isabella, seeing how she was leaving, only thought that he was a coward for running away. The queen, seeing how a group was about to leave her, threw several of the thorns at her while they were distracted. Issei just let out a sigh and took out his sword from the bracelet Eride had given him for his birthday. When he looked up he was serious and went against the Queen of Thorns, cutting everything in her path and filling it in front of her and taking her by the neck. Issei. I haven't done anything to you woman for you to attack me like that. You burned my forest. Issei. I just arrived and someone else was already there. I have nothing against you, but if you want to fight I can give it to you. Putting more strength in her grip, the queen felt that she used several of her abilities to love Issei, but none of them worked. At that Issei felt how Isabella let her limit strength come out of her, and for her part, she just let go of the woman and returned with her equipment, taking the backpack that he left on the ground and continuing on her way. While Isabella stayed talking to the Queen of Thorns since she knew her. Chap. 24. Issei and his small group entered the next portal taking a coin. Mode. Issei, you are not going to wait for your wife. Issei. She can take care of herself, plus there are people who cheated since that fire didn't happen alone. Mode. So what do we do? Issei. Continuing our path, our mission is to put our class at the top. His companions nodded and entered the next portal where there was a great blizzard. Issei. It feels good and you are fine. Mode. Yes, but it will be difficult for us to walk. Issei. I see. Taking out a rope and throwing it to his companions and starting to walk while he carries the four of them. During their path they crossed paths with some golems where Issei had no problem stopping them. They were going at a slow pace since Issei wanted to enjoy the wind. At that he turned around and saw his classmates with little energy, and further away he saw the rest of his students. Issei didn't care about it and continued on his way. Isabella, seeing how Issei followed her path, walked faster to reach him. After a few minutes they reached the next portal, and upon entering they could see a desert. Issei. There are many climates, but this one is pleasant. Mode. It's very hot. Isabella. How could you leave me behind? Issei. We are from different classes and you have friends behind you. And now how are we going to leave? This is tiring. Issei. Okay, I'll help you, but there are many of you, you're famous, Yibei. She didn't say anything, and at that Issei took out 2 scrolls where he created 2 trucks for her companions. Mode. Issei, if you want, you can go ahead and we'll see you there. At least one must arrive. And we only hinder you. Issei. None of that, we are friends. Mode. Okay, go. You're the leader, Issei, you have to win. Issei. It's okay guys, if something happens, you already know what to do. They nodded and at that Issei left her backpack and stretched his hands a little and took out her wings, leaving several people surprised and took flight at a high speed. The viewers didn't know what to say when they saw that since it was something new. At that point he reached the portal, crossing it and taking another coin and noticing that it was now cold. Issei. I hope it goes well for you guys. Starting to walk since he liked the weather. In the distance she saw Renner who was climbing the mountain with his hands. Issei just smiled when he saw that and started running, and when he reached the mountain he started walking on it. Renner. How do you do that? Issei. Very easy, my friend, it's a technique that I learned a long time ago. Well, I'll let you continue so you don't lose focus and fall, we can't see. Continuing on his way leaving Renner upset by what he said. After a few minutes Issei arrived at the door being the final one. But before entering he decided to wait for her companions since it was better to enter in a group. Minutes passed and then everyone began to arrive, but the angry Redeed went against Issei, wanting to kill him. Issei just let out a sigh and stood up since he was sitting and extended his hand. Issei. Shinra Tensei. Making the boy enter the portal suddenly, crashing into a wall. When the others saw that, they didn't know what happened and it was better to just enter the portal since they didn't want problems with him. Issei. I see you guys did well. Mode. Thanks to the fact that you left some plans we arrived faster. Issei. I'm glad you and Yibei how it went. Isabella. Shut up. Entering the portal. Mode. I think she's mad at you. Issei. That's his attitude, don't worry then let's go. He just nodded and with that everyone finished entering. Where, upon doing so, their chips went to the center of the stadium and seeing how many points each person had. Renner had 10 chips equaling 100 points. But when they saw how many Issei had, they were surprised since he had 15 chips, surpassing his partner. Issei. Let's bend this tournament you'll see. He shouted it so that everyone could hear, some just laughed when they heard such a statement since it would be impossible to achieve. After that the tournament was over and it was time to wait for the next round. And so a few days passed where several prepared for the fights, while Issei did nothing just go out to see the surroundings. Isabella. You seem very calm even though the next battles are almost here. But with such a statement you made, perhaps you are an idiot. Issei. I don't care what people say, I'll just have fun. Plus I have a gift for you. Giving him a sword with useless wood. Issei. It was something difficult, believe it or not, and I hope it helps you in your battles. Since I don't want someone weak in the final. Isabella. You speak very confidently even though there are rivals who can beat you. Issei. I know very well how strong my rivals are and the truth is there is no one who can hurt me. Isabella. Stop talking nonsense, don't believe it's a big deal. Issei. I'm just telling the truth and I don't have all my power with me right now. Isabella. maybe they sealed it for you. Issei. Something like that. Right now I only have 20% of it, but for me it is more than enough and it is better so I can improve more. Isabella. I don't know where you get so many stupid ideas. Remember that you are only human. Issei. You also remember that you should never underestimate your enemy or the consequences could be catastrophic. Well, we have to sleep tomorrow, it will be an interesting day. Lying down in bed. Isabella did too since she couldn't get Issei out of bed. The next day the stadium was full again waiting for the next fights. Where the first to fight was Issei against Bushai, being a member of the swordsman class. Where Issei entered the stadium with different clothes, leaving several people surprised since he was wearing his suit from when he was captain with Enterprise. In addition, they noticed a golden glove on his hand with several magic stones. And if that's what you think, it's like the glove that so many wear, hahaha. Issei. Friend, I hope you entertain me. Bushai. Consider yourself dead. Issei didn't say anything and just waited for the attack where Bushai started attacking with his slime. Issei. Kaiten Gakamikyaku. Releasing a large puff of fire, burning the Sainite without leaving even the dust. Everyone was shocked when they saw that since it was something new to see. Issei. Come on, that's all or what? Bushai just got angry and went on the attack, giving meaningless blows. Issei just let out a sigh since fighting like that was very boring. At that he began to quickly run around him and began to create a tornado of fire, making Bushai scream in pain. While Issei was doing that he noticed what he expected and stopped. Several thought he had already won, but Bushai emerged from the fire with a different appearance. Bushai. You forced me to use my dragon form, I will kill you. Issei. Then come, I want to see what you are capable of in that form. Bushai went to attack Issei, wanting to use his fists. Issei, for his part, just stood there receiving each blow, but did not move from his place. Several thought he was unconscious since he had not even moved. Issei. You're done, I'm tired. Bushai. How is it possible I am as strong as a dragon? Launching many spheres with power. Issei. I'm tired, I'll show you something cool too. He closed his eyes and then he opened them again, activating his Sharingan and then the Magic U Sharingan. Issei. Amaterasu. Growing black flames that enveloped his rival, causing him to scream in pain. Issei noticed how the slime burned completely and there he stopped the flames since he couldn't kill it. At that Bushai fell to the ground unconscious. Safian was surprised, but she snapped out of her trance and declared Issei the winner. He just raised his hand where his classmates applauded and other people after that went to the other participants. Chap. 25. The fighting continued after Issei's great victory, although there were two people who were very upset with Issei since they hurt his brother. Issei didn't take it into account and continued on his way when he ran into the director. Issei. How are you doing? Director. Well, we can talk a little. Issei just nodded and with that the director created a portal where they both entered where when they arrived it was a library and Issei took a seat while they served him tea. Issei. Well, director. You are not from this world, right? Issei. That's right, director. You didn't accept very quickly. Issei. There's no use in lying and well, if you know I'm not from here you should also know about Isabella, no. Director. You're right, I know. Issei. And what do you want him to talk to me? Director. I was just curious about you and you have unique abilities. Issei. I earned it with a lot of work, it wasn't that easy. Director. Because you joined the class so I could tell that you have attitudes towards magic and fencing. Issei. I like to try new things. Director. You at least know how to get back home. Issei. Yes, I know. But I'll stay here for a while, there are a lot of great things and I haven't gone out to explore yet. Director. I see. Issei. Well, if that's all I left. Getting up from her seat, she nodded and teleported to where he was before and made her way to his room. The next day the fights continued and several were winning until it was their turn. Issei thoughts. Mode, if you let yourself be guided by your fear you will not be able to concentrate and create something to defend yourself. Seeing how his friend created a somewhat ugly robot, his rival, being one of the brothers, went against Moto without compassion. When he destroyed his armor he went against Moto, but before hitting him Issei stopped him. Issei. He's hurt, he can't continue. I don't mind. Mode, I give up, I'm sorry Issei. Issei. You did well, don't worry, the important thing is that you fought. You won't save yourself from me. Wanting to hit him with his other hand, but Issei only kicked him, sending him flying. In that he helped his friend to take him to the infirmary since he had some injuries. The fights continued and came to an end until waiting for the next round. Isabella left a train while Issei stayed in the room when someone knocked on her door, Renner, who asked her to follow him outside to talk. Issei. Well, Renner. Surrender and save yourself the humiliation you will have when facing me. Issei. You came to tell me just that. Do not waste your time. Renner. I am much more powerful than you, don't think it's a big deal just for creating those things with your forge. Issei. Ha, maybe you've seen me fight with the forge, the truth is I only use it for fun, since if it's combat I can use my fists. Renner. With me you will only lose. Issei. We will see that if we face each other, but remember one thing, Renner, the word defeat is not in everyday use since I made it disappear a long time ago. Just after saying that she left the place, leaving Renner upset and promising to defeat Issei. The next day the winners were in the stadium and it was already the quarterfinals. Sofian. The next meeting will be to enter Issei from the forging class and Nai from the culinary class. Issei. I wish you luck. Nai. I say the same and I know how strong you are. Issei. I can tell that you've been training all your life so you won't be an easy opponent. They were given 10 minutes to prepare. Issei, for his part, just sat down and waited. Isabella. Surrender, you won't have a chance against him. Issei. Thanks for the support. Isabella. I'm just telling the truth. Issei. I see, after this tournament I will leave the city and you can be free, since that is what you want so much. At that he got up from his seat to go greet other people, while Isabella was surprised by what she heard. 10 minutes passed and both contestants were ready to fight where Nai launched several saucepan-shaped attacks. Issei stopped them with his bare hands and also went on the attack since he wanted to end all of this quickly. Issei took out his sword from his bracelet and took an attack position. Nai went to the attack with 2 saucepans in her hand and tried to attack Issei, but he deflected every attack very quickly and at the same time gave her some scratches. Issei took advantage of Nai's carelessness and kicked him in the stomach and then went against him, hitting him several times in the face, making his rival spit out a lot of blood. Issei took a few steps back and noticed how he was still standing. He took a pill out of his pocket and took it. Issei. Interesting. Nai raised her gaze and went to the attack faster, giving Issei a blow that sent him flying, then she ran faster, hitting him several times. The culinary class supported his classmate since he was winning over his student. Issei just took every hit until he stopped one with his hand. Issei. Keep improving and you will go far. Hitting him in the abdomen. Issei. 7th true spirit form ability. Everyone was shocked when they saw that, as was the director for such power. Everyone was shocked when they saw that, as was the director at such power. The king was happy to see such a thing. Isabella didn't know what to say since she had never seen such a thing. At that, Issei's spiritual form raised his fist ready to hit Nai and he, for his part, created 2 frying pans as shields, but they were of no use since Issei's spiritual form destroyed them without difficulty and defeated Nai, leaving Nai unconscious. The director went down to the stadium and declared Issei the winner and walked alone to where his classmates were, who stared at him with great surprise. He didn't take much notice of it and he just went to take a seat while the other combats were about to continue. Issei. Are you ready, Isabella? Isabella. Sure, and you better be ready to lose. Issei. That attitude won't get you very far, but you know I'm tired of repeating the same thing to you. Hate has cut you down. Isabella. You know how you have never lost anyone important in your life. Issei. You're right, I've never lost anyone important. I don't know how you feel. He said all this calmly while he watched the next fight. Isabella. Then don't talk nonsense. Issei. Whatever you say. Well, tell me, when the next round starts, I'll go to sleep. Without waiting for a response, he started walking towards the exit. The next battles happened where some suffered to advance to the next round, while Issei just walked around the city to waste time. After that he returned to the stadium, where he saw how Isabella was fighting, where he could tell that she was having a bit of a hard time against her rival. At that moment he noticed that Isabella was getting out of control. Issei. He is very easily influenced. Letting out a sigh and entering the stadium before the director created a barrier. Upon entering, she noticed how Isabella had her rival holding her. Issei. Leave it, you won, don't cause more disaster. Isabella. Don't give me orders, I'm a queen. Issei. This is problematic. This happens when you allow yourself to be influenced by power. Going against the already fainted girl and leaving her next to her and looking at Isabella. When she saw Issei, she got upset and released more of her limit strength so that Issei would get scared, but on his part, he continued as always. Issei let out a murderous intent, scaring all the spectators as they also felt it. Several fainted from fear and others were trembling from such power. Isabella just took a few steps back and Issei started walking towards her. Issei. Stop playing games, woman. Don't make me angry and you better listen to me. Isabella. I am a queen and I don't obey anyone. Issei. It's partly my fault for not helping you change that attitude, but today I will. Going to her and giving her a slap that surprised her. Isabella. My duty is to kill everyone in my path. Issei. You're allowing yourself to be influenced by your feelings. You only make my job harder. At that Issei approached her and Issei took out a seal from her bracelet and put it on her head. Seconds later she was returning to her normal form and was about to fall off of her, but Issei took her into her arms. Issei. And you say that you can be alone if it happens you will only cause this. Isabella. Nobody asked for your help. Issei. You have a lot of pride, but it's fun to bother you like that. Isabella only half blushed upon hearing that, but then she fainted from using so much of her power. That's when the director arrived since everything had calmed down. Afterwards the director removed the barrier and Issei along with some layers took Isabella to the infirmary. Chap. 26. The final was already decided and it was between Issei and Renner since the person who was going to fight him gave up. While Isabella and her rival were interrogated for using magic from the demon tribe and the beast tribe, Issei walked through the streets and heard murmurs about how his rival was going to win. For his part, he didn't take it seriously and continued until he reached the infirmary and saw his friend Moto there and Eli since he won in his previous battle but was in bad shape. State. When they found out that Issei was going to fight in the final, they were both surprised and told her not to do it. Issei just laughed hearing all that and told them that he would be fine and then left the building where he met his teacher. Martin. Issei, you should know that Renner is someone very strong, someone with such power rarely swims, you should give up. Issei. I'll be fine, don't worry. He won't have an easy time if he wants to fight me. Martin. Issei, you have to be serious in this battle or else you will do badly. Issei. I always fight seriously, teacher. Martin. I see and tell me how your wife is. Issei. Well right now he must be giving his statement of what happened. But hey, it's late, see you later. Martin just nodded and with that Issei returned to his room to rest since the next day he had a lot to do. The next day the final arrived where almost everyone supported Renner and few supported Issei. Renner. We are both in favor of having no restrictions when fighting, so we can give it our all. We will fight until one dies. Several murmured about those changes, although some did not care since they knew that Renner was going to win. Issei, for his part, only let out a yawn at what was happening. The king saw the director and he nodded. King. Well, if you wish, no one will be able to interfere in your fight. Issei. When was the last time I fought someone to the death in public? I think it was against Hero because the thing about Kunu's fiancé was good before, the truth is it doesn't matter. Renner. I have 3 reasons why you must die today. Issei. Seriously then tell me please. Renner. The first is that you don't respect my authority as a prince and make fun of my status. Secondly, you imitated my skills with the intention of declaring a battle with me. Thirdly, trash like you are not worthy of being with a woman as exceptional as Issei. Issei just yawned again upon hearing all that. Issei. Your reasons are really stupid. Besides, it's not my fault that she doesn't love you. A smile formed on her face when Renner heard that and cast a lightning spell at her. Issei. Wow, you are foolish and unfortunately for you, that woman will be with me for a while. Creating the same spell as Renner and both colliding with each other. How is it possible that I create the same spell? That boy keeps many secrets about his abilities, who on earth trained him? Seeing that, Renner became even more upset. At that he took out a large rock from the stadium and set it on fire and then threw it at Issei. The alone created a ball of water colliding with each other, causing a mist where Issei took the opportunity to hit him on the back. Renner cleared all the smoke and saw Issei in the same place. Issei. You don't deserve me to use the gem the teacher gave me. Renner. Damn, after I kill you she will be mine. Issei. Whatever you say. I'll show you what real skill is. Making seals with his hand. Issei. Sent Mokuten. Shinsk Senju. Where it began to shake and seconds later everyone could see a large statue with thousands of hands. Seconds later the hands began to attack Renner, for his party only created shields to be able to defend, but a hand always hit him. Several people, upon seeing that, were scared by such an ability. Issei did not want to end the fight, even so he stopped the attack and made the jutsu disappear. As he did so he saw Renner with many injuries. Issei. That's it, come on, friend, you said you were going to kill me, you should try harder. Starting to walk and with each step the ground will shake. At that Issei stretched out and punched the air from which cracks came out. Issei. This has just begun. Forming a smile on his face. Renner only got upset when he saw that smile and created an ice golem that began to attack Issei, destroying all attacks with his hands. Then he moved at great speed destroying the golem. Issei. That's why I didn't join the magic class since they rely so much on magic that they are weak when it comes to fighting quarter to hand. And the swordsmen depend on their weapon and when they lose it, what happens there is the end of the story. But the forging class is different since there the only thing you need is imagination and you can go very far. Renner only had his head lowered, but then 2 giant hands caught Issei and he looked up with a smile where several spells with various elements were created around Issei. Renner. You don't come out of this alive, it's time for you to die. Making all the spells collide with each other, but before he touched it, Issei teleported behind Renner where he kicked him in the ribs. Renner stood up from the ground and started laughing and then launched several wind tornado attacks. Renner. It is unacceptable, you have to die here, I am the strongest in this kingdom. You have to die. Launching every possible attack he had. Issei just stood there receiving every attack squarely, and at the end Renner thought he was done, but it wasn't. Issei. That was all really great. Clearing away all the dust that was there, and the spectators were surprised since he had many scars on his body. Martin. How much he must have suffered to have those scars. Maybe he was tortured. Director. They are not about torture, they are about wars. That young man has a lot of experience in combat and has perhaps experienced death on many occasions. Martin. How is that possible? Director. Only you know the answer to that question. Issei. Hey, that shirt is special to me since it is identical to my wife's. You won't get out of this, Renner. Renner was going to respond, but Issei moved at a great speed that no one knew how to see. Seconds later Renner was embedded in the wall. Issei grabbed him by the face and started dragging him against the wall. When he finished he threw him into the air, and when he was about to fall, he hit him in the abdomen, which made him spit up a lot of blood. Several people in the audience were scared when they saw all this. Isabella was surprised by how Issei fought since she was watching the fight from the beginning. Renner still got up with those injuries and started attacking again. Issei just extended his hand and absorbed all the spells. Issei. I had time to use that man's ability, but sooner or later I will have to do it. At that Issei raised his hand and created a large fireball that was thrown at Renner. He only created an angel to defend himself. But he still hit him squarely, and then the smoke cleared where Renner emerged in the form of his dragon. Renner. The game ends here. Issei. You know I've done many things in my life, and one of those things was fighting dragons. Clenching his fist. Issei. On one occasion one of them escaped from me because with just a touch my hand screamed in pain. I accidentally got the ability to kill dragons, so get ready. Renner did not pay attention to him and created several fire dragons that went against Issei. Issei, for his part, absorbed the dragons and took out his wings, leaving several people surprised, and approached Renner at great speed, hitting him in the stomach, causing him more pain than usual. Issei. You wanted a battle to the death and that's how it will be. Creating a small red sphere on his finger and putting it on his arm. Causing Renner to scream like he never had before. When several heard that scream, they were scared by such a scream, and Isabella didn't know what to say when she saw all that. Renner tried to regenerate his arm, but it didn't work and it hurt more and more. Issei. Everything ends here. Hitting him in the face, falling to the ground. Issei stepped off the ground and dropped to his knees next to Renner. Issei. You know he doesn't like it when someone says battle to the death, because the truth is I don't forgive my enemies. It's a shame you had a good future, but your pride got the better of you. These are the consequences when someone is guided by pride. He said it out loud, everything where everything indirectly went to Isabella. She just looked down when she heard it. Issei let a drop of his blood fall on Renner's chest. Renner. I love you. He didn't finish as he began to scream in pain as his body was being completely destroyed. The spectators were scared when they saw this, and Renner's teacher could no longer do anything since he wanted it that way. Seconds later Renner's entire body was disintegrated. There was a great silence, several were still in shock, but the citizens began to speak. Monster, it was you who had to die, not Renner-sama. Beast without feelings. You deserved to die. Issei for his part only greeted everyone with a smile for his victory while he listened to all the insults. His teacher couldn't do much for Issei any more than the principal could. King. He's scary. Issei stopped waving and started walking to the exit while the citizens threw trash at him since they hated him. Chap. 27. Leaving the combat arena, Issei walked through the streets thinking about what he would do now since he earned the title of commander and he could leave the city whenever he wanted. Without any better idea he went to his room since it was a long day. When he arrived he lay down on the bed. Issei. I think I exaggerated, but hey, it doesn't matter what's done, it's done. Seconds later Isabella entered the room, a little tired since she had run. Issei. Something's wrong. Isabella. You left without receiving your prize. Issei. Ah, that really doesn't matter, the teacher is there, he can receive it. Isabella. Why do you act so carefree, maybe you don't know what happened next. Issei. You talk about insults, that's nothing, the truth is that over time you get used to those things. Isabella. And now what will we do? Issei. Excuse me, what's this about, the winner was me, not you. Hearing that, Isabella didn't know what to say since it was true, but then Issei started laughing. Issei. You would have seen your scared face, it was worth it, good thing I took the photo, this will go for the album. And well, to your question, what do you want to ask? Isabella. We have to return to the demonic tribe, but before that I have to improve since I am still weak. Issei. Besides, you easily let yourself be guided by your instincts like a few days ago. I had to seal your powers so you wouldn't go crazy. Isabella. It's just that I feel like someone is whispering to me to kill everyone. Issei. You have a dual personality, your current self and the demon queen. What you have to do is combine both personalities, although it won't be easy. I'll help you a little with all this, let's say at most a month or less, and then I'll leave. Isabella. Where? Issei. There are people waiting for me there at my house. I can't stay here forever. Isabella. You should know that you cannot return to your world since there is no spell. Issei. I'll worry about that. So we leave tomorrow, the sooner the better. Approaching Isabella and removing the seal. Issei. I hope you control yourself because if not, Renner might happen to you. Isabella. Issei, how dangerous is your world for you to have those scars? Issei. Everyone is dangerous, there is no safe place, and I have been fighting since I was very young to survive. But hey, let's leave the past aside and we have to sleep. Taking the sheet to rest. Isabella, for the first time since she met Issei, she was curious to know more about him, but she couldn't ask him like that, just because. The next morning Issei went to see her teacher to ask for directions to places she could visit. Later she went to Shopia's where she gave her a medal so that she could enter and leave the kingdom. Moto was going to accompany them on her trip, but Issei refused since she did not want to leave him stranded when he left. At that Issei said goodbye to her only friend and took Isabella in her arms and took out her wings leaving the place. Issei. It will be a long trip and you better learn quickly since my time is limited. Isabella. What's the rush to leave and why are we going like this? Issei. I have to see my family and see how things are over there. The last time it took so long my daughters and sister were hurt. Isabella. Wait, what's that about having daughters? You're barely a 17-year-old idiot to have children. Issei. That's how things are and the truth is I'm 2530 years old. Upon hearing that, her eyes widened in surprise. Isabella. A human doesn't live that long. Issei. Things happen. Isabella, if we are going to spend some time together, it is better to talk a little about each other. Starting to go down until they reached the ground and started walking. Issei. I know almost everything about you, but in my case it is different. Isabella. Well tell me. Issei. Since I was very little I have fought against demons and other races where at the beginning I suffered a little but over time I adapted. You know, I was not summoned to this, I came here because I wanted to train and learn new things. Isabella. That's impossible. Issei. You are right to think that way, but during my life I have met many people, some being nice and others unbearable. And gone several worlds where it caused some problems as they provoke me. Isabella. Who trained you? Issei. Nobody learned everything on their own. Exactly because of some skills that I received the help of 3 angels. Go days without sleeping or eating to get better. Isabella. So there are demons in your world. Issei. Yes and I know many of them. My partner is a Mau, let's say a demon queen too. Isabella. How is that possible? Issei. Things happen just like that. She is very happy just like my family is not like your angry person. Isabella. Yes, whatever you say. Issei. You will always find people stronger than you in the future and they will give you a lesson where you will notice that you are just a grain of sand in a great desert. Isabella. You say that because you are strong. Issei. I still have a long way to go too. If I want to protect my family I must improve. But that they continued on their way while talking about other things since Issei didn't say anything else. Night came and still they continued on their way and after a few hours they reached their destination where it was like a tomb. They both entered to explore the places while looking at various writings on the walls. Issei. Wow, this is all unique. They continued on their way and came across a lizard. Humans. What I hate most in the world are humans, they better leave. Issei. We're just exploring and looking for something. And I. Creating a sphere of power in his mouth. For his part, Issei had no desire to fight the least, so he extended his hand and sent the lizard flying away from them. Issei. Let's continue soon we will see him again. Isabella. What was that? You did it last time too, but I didn't feel a magic in that attack. Issei. Maybe I'll tell you another time. Where they both continued on their way. Where they crossed paths with several creatures where Issei left the job to Isabella so that she could train. Issei. Come on, if you continue like this, it will be bad for you later. Isabella. Shut up better. Issei just laughed at the situation and continued watching since he wanted to see how far he would go. Hours passed and Isabella met one of her acquaintances, her being the Queen of Thorns, where he transformed into a bracelet to be with her. Issei. You fought so hard that you should take a bath, good thing you brought extra clothes. I'll go create something for you to bathe in. Isabella. Don't you have any manners? Issei. A little. Going somewhere else to create something but on his way he found a room with a big bed. Isabella did some searching and found a bathroom. Issei. Wow, it looks like a pool, it's big with this bathtub. Isabella. Go, I'm going to take a bath. Issei. Well you hurry up since I do too. Leaving the room. She walked a little until in the distance she saw someone covering their face. Issei didn't even bother to follow him since he noticed that he was following them. Issei. What are you doing here? Maybe you want eBay to hit you again. How did you know it was me? Issei. Instinct I guess, and well, what do you want? If you don't help me your head is going to roll off of here. Since she had a sword at Issei's neck. I also know that she is Isabella the Demon Queen. Issei. And that's what she has. Don't you mind if I tell someone? Issei. The truth is, you don't do what you want. I don't know if you have a lot of courage or are very stupid. We will see you another time and I hope for a good response. Issei. Whatever you say. Starting to walk to the room. While she was doing it she came across the lizard. Issei. Maybe you want to die again. A human cannot against me. Issei. Just because you're strong doesn't mean you should underestimate me. You know I don't feel like fighting, so I give you two options. Once you leave and don't bother. To die here right now. I choose the third, your death. Going against Issei, he only created a black and red sphere and threw it at the lizard, making it disappear in seconds. Just then Isabella arrived with a towel and sword in hand since she heard the monster, but when she arrived there was nothing. Issei. You worried about me and came running still. Isabella. Shut up. Issei. You are too embarrassing not to tell the truth. But it's a really good view. Isabella only turned red when she heard and raised her sword and went at Issei, but he stopped her with 2 fingers. Issei. Do you want to kill your husband? Isabella. And if so, do you care? Issei. It hurts that you tell me that honestly. Isabella. Stop joking. We love a bet. If I win you will train me seriously, and if you win I will treat you with respect. Issei. But if you are already my servant I don't gain anything from that. Isabella. Maybe you're running away. Issei. If that's what you want, that's fine, but you should always call me husband, what do you think? Isabella. Fine, but I won't lose. At that Issei dropped her sword and took out a scroll with armor for her, leaving her surprised. Issei. You think she was going to leave you unprotected? Isabella. Not bad. Issei. Thank you. Isabella. And where is your armor? I don't want you to tell me after I win that I cheated. Issei. I don't usually wear armor, to be honest. I have a few, so let me think about which one to use. Thinking a little until I can think of which one. Issei. I defeat you in less than 10 seconds. Isabella. That confidence will only lead to defeat. Issei just smiled and made several seals on his hands, removing some of them, and then activated the true longinus and nailed it to the ground. Seconds later a glow formed where Isabella was surprised by the armor when it was removed. Issei. I modified it a little, great, no. Taking position with the spear and Isabella with her sword. Chap. 28. Isabella was the first to go attacking, but Issei just deflected her attack and hit him with a rose with her spear. She was going to say something, but she fell to her knees and her scratch started to burn. Issei. I expected more from you, honestly. Well, you are a queen. Isabella. You're making fun of me. At that he took the talisman that he had and broke it. At that moment, she grew a horn and stood up again. Issei. Don't tell me, you're the real Isabella, no. Isabella. You have courage to talk to me so friendly. Issei. Well, you are my maid and my wife, so I can talk to you however you want. Isabella. I am the queen, being your wife, hahaha, you are too weak to be in my presence. Issei. Wow, then I have no choice. Isabella. What are you talking about? Issei. I will have to change that attitude again, since with the previous one she was achieving it. You have to get off that cloud. Isabella just took out her sword and went after Issei and cast spells at the same time to distract him, but in the end it didn't work as Issei destroyed all spells and stopped her sword. Issei. Not bad, but you're missing a lot. Attacking her with her spear, making several scratches, Isabella let out some moans of pain. Issei. I don't want to hurt you completely. Except with this spear since it is very lethal for you demons. Isabella. I won't give up. Issei. I'll tell you something that no one knows. Isabella. What a thing. At that Issei deactivated the armor and put the spear away again and approached Isabella face to face. Issei. I like difficult women like you. Since several of my women were like you and now they are the most loving people in the world and that makes me happy. Isabella. What are you getting at? Issei. We are husband and wife and we have not yet consummated our marriage. Isabella. Don't touch me. Or I'll kill you. Issei. Then kill me. Lifting Isabella's sword and giving it to her and taking her hand and putting it on her chest. Issei. Do it, kill me if you want. Isabella had her sword at Issei's chest, but a part of her didn't want to do it. Issei. You're taking too long and if you don't do it I will. Isabella. I can't kill you. Issei. Because and don't give me any nonsense. Isabella. Part of me doesn't want to do it, okay. Issei. Wouldn't it be you? You better be honest, I don't like lies. Isabella. You are really annoying. Issei. You tell me that very often and well. Isabella. A queen like me must have a king on her equal. She said it in a whisper while she looked away and had a blush. Issei could hear everything from her, but she wanted to tease her more. Issei. I didn't hear you. Isabella. Don't act deaf if you heard. Issei. Look at me and tell me. Taking Isabella's face for her to see. Issei. Well, Isabella. You have proven to be strong to be with this queen. Be proud. Issei. What a bad way to confess the truth to someone. Isabella. Shut up and be happy to be with me. Issei. That attitude of yours is bad, I will help you change it. Isabella. I'll stop talking nonsense, that won't happen. Issei. Give me time and you'll see. Taking Isabella's face and giving her a kiss that surprised her at first since she wasn't expecting it. Isabella. I didn't give you permission for that. Issei. I don't need permission to do whatever I want with my wife. Isabella. You're going too far. Issei. What can I say, there are times she acted like that when I'm with my partner. Isabella. You're weird. Issei. I know. But you don't like it. Isabella did not respond and only Issei blushed when she saw that. She just smiled and took the sword from him and placed it on his side. Then she removed the front part of his armor. Issei. You won't escape from here. Isabella. Just shut up. Tearing off Issei's shirt and kissing Issei's chest. Isabella looked up from her and Issei noticed her red eyes filled with lust. After that she threw him to the ground and climbed on. Isabella. Like you said, you won't escape from here. Issei just smiled and took her by the shoulders and threw her to the ground, kissing her where she reciprocated as well. For a few hours many moans could be heard from Isabella where only some monsters could hear them since there was no one else present there. Isabella. Issei, stop, I'm already tired. Issei. Maybe the queen is giving up. Putting it in 4. Issei. Will you give up? Isabella. I am never a queen. Issei. I like it that way. Entering her again as Isabella just formed a smile on her face. 2 days passed and Isabella was on the ground lying on Issei's chest. Issei. I won't lie, I needed this. Isabella. Because you didn't stop when I told you. Issei. I asked you if you wanted me to stop and you just denied. Isabella. You didn't let me talk, stupid. Issei. I've been here for half a year now, don't blame me. Isabella. What do you mean, how am I not going to blame you? Issei. Well, you're very pretty and you dress like that in front of me, I'm not thankful I could resist. Isabella. You're like the rest. Issei. But I have the privilege of being your husband and I never did anything to you until now. Isabella. You better behave later and listen to me. Issei. Because I would have to. You can act like this with others, but don't even try it with me or you will know the consequences. Isabella. Or what? Issei. Or we're going to lock ourselves up for a while, you decide. Isabella just clicked her tongue, but she formed a half smile since she kind of liked that idea. Issei. Well, now that you are completely mine, I'll help you train. Isabella. Like yours. Issei. You want to check it again, not many years ago you said those words. Isabella just stood up and didn't say anything. Issei just laughed a little. Issei took out a change of clothes from her bracelet and gave it to her. Issei. Isabella, you better take it, seriously, she'll help you with your tribe, but then I'll leave. Isabella. I see. Minutes later they started walking. Isabella thoughts. Issei, you are not going anywhere, I will do everything possible to make you stay by my side forever. While she had a smile on her face. Hours passed and they defeated some monsters on their way until they reached a room where there was a small spear that Issei kept for later. Later they left the place and continued on their way. But then she received a call from Moto since Issei had given her a radio in case something happens. At that she told him that they were going to the territory of the dwarves and that they could go. Issei saw Isabella and explained to her and she nodded it wouldn't be so much anymore. Along the way they crossed paths with several demons where Issei left them to Isabella, but not before putting gravity seals on her where she could barely move. Issei. It's the only way to improve. I wish you luck. Isabella. This won't stay like this. Issei just nodded with a smile to watch the battles. Chap. 29. Issei continued on his way with Isabella. Issei. How are you, dear? Isabella. Don't talk to me and you'd better create a vehicle to get there faster. Issei. If you continue complaining, the gravity will increase so that you can improve. Isabella better stayed silent since she could barely walk. Issei. And tell me you wanted something. Isabella. I'm fine, my husband, don't worry. Issei. I see. They continued on their way without any problem until they came across a wounded dwarf. Issei. Well, it's your turn to help. Isabella. I hope you give me something later. Issei just gave her a smile and with that Isabella went on the attack. She killed all of her rivals, but she had difficulty against one who was dressed only in black and she knew well who she was. They both had a difficult fight. Issei went to help the injured dwarf and noticed that he was still alive. From his bracelet he took out a phoenix tear and gave it to the dwarf who little by little began to wake up. Issei. Hey, what did you do to be in such a state? They are attacking my people. Issei. I know, my classmates told me and we are going to your home. How about you come with me and my wife? Thank you. At that Issei turned around to continue watching the battle. Issei just let out a sigh and went to her. Issei. You better go rest, I'll do it, you're taking longer than usual. Isabella. And whose fault is it? Issei. Just leave but hide your horn, since you may attract the dwarf's attention. She just nodded and hid it and left. Issei. Well, I don't have much time, so goodbye. Creating a sphere of power being the Hakai after she threw it at a rival, hitting it squarely, destroying her entire body in an instant. The other subordinates, seeing that, better left to give her report, but Issei did not let them escape, since she moved faster and killed them all. At the end she returned to the two of them, since the dwarf was surprised and Isabella didn't know what to say. Issei. Well, it's time to continue on our way. Even the journey is long. What kind of power did you just use? Issei. A forbidden power for some people that I got accidentally. Isabella. You can show me. Issei. I can't but maybe someone can but well it's better to continue on our way. Still thank you for your help. Issei. No problem, my name is Igarashi Issei and this is my wife Igarashi Isabella. Upon hearing that, she stared at Issei and he just smiled at her. Just like the demon queen. Issei. What a coincidence, no. Well, let's go. The dwarf just nodded and the group headed towards their destination. They went at a slow pace since Issei was training Isabella and she was not going to let him have it very easy. Days later into the trip they reached their destination where Issei was surprised by the walking fortress. Without wasting time, Issei took a big leap, taking both people by the waist and entering the castle giving a grand entrance. Issei. Sorry for the delay. Isabella. Put me down, idiot. Issei. Sorry. He lowered them both and with that the three walked and Issei could notice something in the new king, but he didn't say anything. Martin. How good they are finally coming. Shopias. How did it go? Issei. The trip was interesting during this time, we got along even better, it was like a honeymoon. Wow, good for you Yibei. She just looked away and didn't say anything. Issei. It's a good meeting but tell me the situation. Martin. The king is sick and we are being attacked by the demonic tribe and we have fewer and fewer people. Issei. Take me to the king, I want to see something. It is not possible, my father is sick. I want to see my father, they won't stop me, brother. Come on, I'll guide you. The dwarf only squeezed the scepter because he was so annoying and after a few minutes of walking they reached their destination. Issei went straight to him and stared at him for a while. Seconds later he just let out a sigh and put his hand on his chest and took out all the poison there was. Issei. He will be fine, he just has to rest for a while and get rid of all the poison he had. How did you do it? Issei. He's been poisoned so many times that I lost count and over time I became immune to it. You guys better leave, this is our problem. Issei. You better return the scepter to your father, he will be fine. No, this is my right, I earned it. Brother, what's wrong with you? I did everything for this moment and they wouldn't take it away from me first when I died. Putting the scepter on the ground and creating something so he could escape while the others tried to stop him. Mode. Issei, won't you do something? Issei. It's already late, he already left and maybe he went to warn the demons. No one knew what to say. Issei for his party started walking towards the exit since he had nothing better to do. Isabella just followed him. The whole way was silent until they reached a balcony. Isabella. You act less stupid than usual. Issei. I'm just tired from so many battles. Isabella. But you've done almost nothing. Issei. Isabella, when this war is over I will go home, I miss my family. I know it's very selfish for me to say this, but tell me, would you come with me? Isabella. At first I was going to do everything possible for you to stay here with me, but after this trip I thought better of it and the truth is I don't have anyone else here, my companions died for me a long time ago, now I only have you. Issei upon hearing that gave her a hug which she reciprocated. Issei. That you speak so lovingly is unique, I will never forget this day. Isabella. Don't be so stupid. Seconds later they separated from the hug and Issei had a big smile. Issei. With this news I am even more motivated. Isabella. Motivated that. Issei. And the war. Jumping off the balcony and into the air, she began to create seals with her hands and created a barrier so that no one would enter or leave. Issei. Wish you luck. Giving Isabella a smile. Isabella. Come back here stupid, if you don't you will pay me. She told him everything upset and with some concern. She knew how strong Issei was but not so strong for an army. She went with the rest and informed them what Issei did and they also went outside to try to get out but nothing worked. Hours passed and Issei was sitting on a rock waiting for the attack. At that he took out a photo of his family. Issei. In a few hours I will be able to see you again family, it has been a long time since I have seen you. At that he took off the bracelet and chain of his daughter and sister so as not to lose them during the battle. After that he just sat there waiting with great excitement because it would be interesting. Meanwhile Isabella was hitting the barrier to get out but nothing. Isabella. I hope you come back alive, Issei, so I can punish you for leaving this queen alone. Everyone could see an upset face, but inside she was very worried about what would happen. Chap. 30. Issei was lying on the rock until he heard a loud roar and got up and saw a creature heading towards the castle. Issei. Well, it's time for action. Leaping and sending the creature with a blow. When those in the castle saw that, they were surprised since he did it the first time. The demons did not react to that and sent the army of corpses. Issei only gave a half smile since he wanted to finish everything at once so he could leave. Issei. Let's finish these quickly, my family is waiting for me. Creating 11 spirit ring clones since those were more than enough. Those at the castle didn't know he could do that, especially Isabella, that was new to her. At that, Issei ordered his clones to go on the attack while he just watched everything. One of the corpses cut off the head of a clone, but at that moment his head grew and the one that was on the ground grew a body. Everyone was shocked when they saw that. At that point one of the corpses threw its head towards the castle. Seeing that, Issei returned the head to his owner with a kick, piercing the owner. Several magicians began to teleport to get there faster, but Issei did not let them as she intercepted them and killed them instantly. Issei. The game is not with them. Taking out his wings and making hand seals, summoning a wooden dragon. After that he created a Rasengan with lava element, killing several of the army. The leader was already getting upset when he noticed how his corpses were being murdered in a matter of seconds. He saw some of his companions and he just nodded, going to attack Issei. For his part, he just watched as his clones continued with their thing. Just then a slime man arrived. Issei. You should lose weight. I am going to kill you. Issei. Son, I think that's not going to be possible. Activating the Manjikyu. Issei. Amaterasu. Creating black flames, burning the man, causing him to scream in pain. Issei. You have killed so many people that it is time for you to be punished, and what torture is worse than fire? Starting to walk somewhere else since there was no use staying there. As he walked, he took out the true Longinus and gave it to a clone to continue. With just one rose the corpses died again. At that Issei walked calmly until suddenly 4 swords pierced his room. You caused a lot of disorder, but in the end you die. When Isabella saw that, she was shocked since they had killed the only man who had loved her husband. From her shock he released all of her aura at once, scaring several as it was pure demonic energy. In addition to the fact that she grew 2 horns from her. The aura demon. Isabella. What's the point of denying it? The person you loved is dead. So Issei is a demon too. Isabella. A human is not someone unique. Help me get out of here, I want to avenge him. We already did everything but nothing works. Isabella. I have to get out of here and kill all of those. Getting up since she was on her knees and going to the barrier wall and starting to hit her while she let out a few tears. Isabella. Issei, don't leave me. Meanwhile, the demon that had killed Issei threw him away and he began to walk somewhere else, but then he noticed something, and that Issei's clones were still fighting. Issei. He wasn't bad. The demon upon hearing that turned around quickly and saw Issei standing while he took off his swords, and as he did so they were melting from the poison. Issei, thanks to his greatly enhanced senses, was able to hear Isabella shouting his name. Issei. I better finish this quickly, I don't want to see her sad. Taking a few steps back. Issei. Spirit-soul union. Making her body turn golden. At that Issei raised both hands and began to create a Hasanito Genkidama that grew bigger and bigger. Plus Issei gave him Hakai so he could finish everything in one go. Issei. Goodbye. Dropping the large sphere to the ground. Issei. Absolute defense. Putting it in the castle since the explosion was gigantic, destroying everything in its path and killing everyone present, none of them survived in one fly. Issei noticed a big character and then he went down and started running since he had to see someone. Isabella, out of the fury she felt, had not realized that Issei was fine and the others did not tell her because of her surprise and they could not feel the destruction due to the barrier. While she was trying to get out of nowhere the barrier was removed and the first thing she saw was Issei. She quickly ran away and Issei just opened his arms to her, but then Isabella gave him a big slap, leaving Issei in shock. He was going to say something, but Isabella hugged him afterwards. Isabella. Don't do any more nonsense, I thought you'd be dead. Issei just hugged her and stroked her hair. Issei. I can't die yet. Also, how do you think I was going to leave my wife alone? Isabella. You're an idiot. You should have let me go with you to fight. Issei. You don't have all your power yet. Isabella. Let's go somewhere else. Issei. I want to say goodbye to my friends. Isabella. No. Let's go now. Issei just let out a sigh and took her in her arms. For her part, she just hit her face in Issei's chest. At that moment everyone left the castle. Issei. Thank you for everything, take care of yourselves. Taking out her wings and leaving the place at great speed. Issei. Where do you want to go? Isabella. I want to be alone with you. Issei. Isabella, you're scaring me, you're not like that. Isabella. It hurt me to see how those swords were embedded in you. I don't want you to leave my side. Issei. And it won't happen, but that attitude of yours is new to me since you always act very proud. Isabella. I see, then you like it that way. Issei. The truth is yes, since then I can bother you. Isabella just formed a smile and looked up at her. Issei could see her beautiful red eyes, but he noticed something in them. Issei. Isabella, something's wrong with you, it seems strange. Isabella. As you know, I am a demon queen. Issei. Yes, I know. Isabella. My hormones are stronger than the other demons. Issei. In a nutshell. Isabella. You won't escape for a long time until they satisfy me enough. Licking Issei's neck. Issei. Wait, we're not in the air yet. Isabella. You focus on that. And I in mine. Ripping off Issei's shirt and kissing her body. Issei. Wait, don't continue. Isabella. I'm your queen, so I do whatever I want. Issei. You better not regret your words afterward. Isabella. Never. Issei just smiled and saw an island where she landed and drew a small house and took Isabella to her room, leaving her on the bed. Issei drew 2 clothes that he gave to her. Issei. Which one do you want to start with? Isabella. The pink. Issei gave it to her and she put it on right there for Issei to see. Isabella. How are you? Issei. Perfect, come to me my queen. She just smiled and went to Issei. Minutes passed, then hours and finally 4 days where they did not come out. Isabella. It's finally over. Issei. You looked prettier acting like that. Isabella. Don't talk nonsense, that won't happen again. Issei. Of course it will happen, you'll see. Maybe next year around this time. Isabella. Well, it won't be like that. Feel lucky to be here with me. Issei. My wife is back, angry. Isabella. I've always been like that. And you better not tell anyone about what happened here or I'll kill you myself. Issei. I promised to take it to the grave, and how do you think I will tell this to anyone? Isabella. You better. Giving Issei a kiss on the nose. Issei. Well, it's better to go. I want to introduce you to the family. Isabella just nodded since she wanted to get to know the girls more. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.